हेलो गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू अनदर वीडियो। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त और आपका भाई। देख लो, ये मेरा इंट्रो है हर बार की तरह। तो आज हम थोड़ा डिफरेंट करेंगे। डिफरेंट हर बार का यही है मेरा, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट डिफरेंट। हाँ नहीं गाइस, ये बार थोड़ा डिफरेंट है क्योंकि हम लोग आज ना ही कमेंट्स पढ़ रहे हैं ना ही रोस्ट कर रहे। हम थोड़ा अलग करेंगे। क्या करेंगे? हम आज रिडल्स सॉल्व करेंगे। रिडल्स। तो हाँ गाइस, मैं आ गया हूँ। अभी तो इधर दबाते हैं रिडल्स। कौन सा देखे? ये 2 days ago माइंड और लॉजिक इंग्लिश का। ओके, ये वाला देखेंगे फुल वीडियो करके।
At 4 o'clock in the morning, Mehul was sleeping peacefully when he received a call informing him that
ओके, मैं हूँ सो रहा था, उससे कॉल आया।
there was a fire inside a lab and a scientist was
उसके लैब में फायर लग गई थी, आंच लग गई थी। ओके।
trapped inside. Mehul immediately rushed to the lab in his car. The lab building was located on the 3rd floor, and there was a
थर्ड फ्लोर पे है उसका लैब, और लैब पे आग लग गई है। ओके, डन।
fierce fire raging inside. Upon reaching the building, Mehul approached the security guard station below.
Sir, I was the one who called you. I am the security guard of this building.
Uncle, how did the fire start? What were you doing at that time?
Sir, someone drugged me with water, so I fell asleep.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
नाइस। सिक्योरिटी को किसी ने पानी पिलाया और बेहोश हो गया।
It means someone deliberately set the fire. Uncle, who is inside the lab at the moment?
Sir, at the moment, only scientist Bennett is working inside the lab, but he hasn't come out yet. His life is in danger. That's why I called you.
Mehul immediately reached the 3rd floor of the building, but he couldn't enter the lab because the flames were too intense. Mehul heard scientist Bennett's cries for help.
Save me.
From inside the lab.
Scientist Bennett, where are you? I have come to rescue you.
Then, he heard scientist Bennett's cries for help from inside the lab.
Save me.
I have to.
ये क्या था ये?
Then, he heard scientist Bennett's cries for help from inside the lab.
Save me. Save me.
I have to find a way to enter the lab somehow. Scientist Bennett's life is in danger.
Mehul saw 3 possible paths to enter the lab.
Okay.
Can you tell me which one Mehul can take? Think carefully.
आवाज इधर से आई थी ना, तो इधर ही जाता, ऑप्शन बी में जाता।
Pay attention. The flames completely blocked the first door, so Mehul couldn't go through either from below or from above. The second path is also blocked by intense flames covering the entire door. However, if you carefully observe the 3rd door, you'll notice that the flames are only on the upper side, leaving a significant gap underneath. Mehul had a skating board beside him. He lays down on the skating board and slides under the 3rd door, entering the lab. Inside the lab, there was a severe fire.
पोपट हो गया गाइस मेरा।
There's a terrible fire in here. If I go inside, my life might be in danger, but I have to somehow rescue the scientist.
After Mehul's attempt to enter the lab, suddenly there is an explosion inside. As the fire reached the chemicals, Mehul quickly maneuvers his skating board and retreats outside the lab. Inside, there are several explosions, one after another. Soon after, the fire brigade team arrives and extinguishes the fire after some time.
I wonder what happened to Scientist Bennett.
Mehul immediately enters the lab but finds it completely engulfed in flames, and Scientist Bennett's body is charged. Mehul thoroughly checks Scientist Bennett's dead body but finds no evidence.
Scientist Bennett burned to death before my eyes. I won't spare the murderer.
After some time, the building manager arrives.
Manager, tell me the truth. Who killed Scientist Bennett?
Sir, I have no idea. Only a few people knew that Scientist Bennett worked inside the lab early in the morning.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. It means
Yes, very very interesting guys, very very interesting.
the killer knew that Scientist Bennett would be working inside the lab at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mehul checks the CCTV footage of the lab. Since the camera was burnt after the fire, no footage from after the fire is available. However, Mehul finds CCTV footage from the previous day and discovers a clue. Can you tell me what clue Mehul found by observing both CCTV footages? Think carefully. By observing both CCTV.
क्या है इसमें? इधर ये फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर है, इधर नहीं है। और क्या है गाइस? और क्या डिफरेंस है?
Both CCTV footages.
फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर।
Mehul notices that there was an anti-fire cylinder placed on the wall inside the lab until last night, but it is missing in the footage from 4 a.m.
This means the murderer intentionally removed the cylinder so that Scientist Bennett couldn't control the fire in any way. But why didn't Dr. Bennett try to escape after the fire broke out?
To find the answer to his question, Mayhul searches inside the lab. After thorough investigation, Mayhul realizes why scientist Bennett didn't escape after the fire broke out. Can you observe everything carefully and tell me why scientist Bennett didn't try to escape from the lab?
हाइस इधर चैन है, चैन से बंधे उसे, उसको बांधा गया था चैन से, इसलिए वो भाग नहीं पाया।
Lab after the fire broke out? Think carefully.
हाँ,
Pay attention, there is an iron chain and a lock under the table.
This means the murderer must have locked scientist Bennett's hand, so he couldn't run out of the lab, and when his body burned completely, the iron chain automatically detached from his body.
Mayhul takes scientist Bennett's dead body outside the building and tells the security guard and the manager there.
No one will go inside the building until the investigation is complete, and you all will stay here.
After that, Mayhul reaches Sanjana's lab with scientist Bennett's dead body. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. The door was locked with a logical password for security. Tell me which of these 4 buttons is the odd one out. Think carefully.
ठीक है, ब्लू बस, वाइट कार, ब्लू टैक्सी और ब्लू बाइक। ओके, ये वाइट है, ये सब ब्लू है, ये सब कार है, 4 व्हीलर्स है और ये 2 व्हीलर है। क्या डिफरेंट रहेगा, क्या करेंगे, कौन सा मेजर है? ठीक है, बाइक। ओके, बाइक।
Leaving aside the car, the remaining 3 buttons are blue in color, but the car is white in color. Mayhul presses the 4th button, and the lab door opens. Mayhul enter in a lab. After that, Mayhul leaves a voice message for Dr. Sanjana and leaves from there. Mayhul immediately returns to the same building where the lab was on fire. Mayhul first interrogates the manager there.
Manager, tell me the truth. Did scientist Bennett have a fight with someone?
कितनी बार पूछ रहा है मैनेजर 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 मैनेजर।
Sir, Scientist Bennett was a very good person. He never had a fight with anyone. But for the past 4-5 days, a friend of his often came to meet him.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I need a photo of that.
इंटरेस्टिंग।
The manager shows him the photo from his lap.
रुक जा भाई, इंटरेस्टिंग, वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। अभी बोलिए इंटरेस्टिंग इंटरेस्टिंग, वासी के वीडियोस इंटरेस्टिंग। अभी मजा आएगा ना भिड़ो।
Well done, manager. Now I will find out who this man is.
Mayhul immediately sends that photo to Sonia. After some time, Sonia calls Mayhul and tells him that the man's name is Mr. Knight. He is a businessman from another city, and he also has a factory where medicines are made. Everyone calls Mr. Knight by name.
It seems I have to go to another city to interrogate Mr. Knight.
Mayhul immediately sets off for the city in his car. There were 3 routes from Mayhul City to Mr. Knight's city. The first route starts from the main highway, but this route is quite long. The second route starts from the side of the lake, and this is the shortest route, but there are many crocodiles in the lake, and they are often sitting on the road.
Okay.
The third route goes through the jungle, but at this time, there are many dacoits in the jungle. Can you tell me which route Mayhul can take among these 3? Think about it.
किधर जाएगा, किधर जाएगा, किधर जाएगा, जल्दी 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 किधर जाएगा?
As for Mayhul, he won't go through the jungle route because there are dacoits there, and at this time, he has to go for another case, so why take a risk? The first route is also good, but the second route is a shortcut, and Mayhul is wearing a sweater, meaning it's cold outside, and in such cold weather, crocodiles won't come out of the lake in the morning because the water of the lake remains warm.
ये कैसा लॉजिक था ये? जैकेट पहना इसलिए ठंड है, और ठंड में क्रोकोडाइल्स बाहर नहीं आते। वाह! मुझे तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आया।
In the morning, so all the crocodiles will be inside the water, and the road will be completely clear. Mayhul takes the shortcut route next to the lake and reaches.
अबे भाई, क्रोकोडाइल किधर भी रहते, उन्हें रोड पे से जाता, पानी के अंदर से नहीं जाता नहीं उन्हें। क्या ही फर्क पड़ता? क्रोकोडाइल अंदर रहते बाहर रहते, उन्हें कार से जाता, उन्हें सिंपल सी बात। अबे कहीं का बे तू, क्या भाई तू, क्या 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 बना रहे रे, क्या
Is the other city.
क्या रिडल्स बनाएगा रे तू?
As soon as Mayhul arrives in the other city, he first goes to Mr. Knight's factory. Mayhul parks his car outside the factory and changes his clothes so that he cannot be recognized. Mayhul enters the factory wearing different clothes.
क्या? कपड़े चेंज करने से रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं होगा? पता नहीं गाइस, पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो। ऐसे भी होता क्या? आई डोंट नो। कपड़े चेंज करने से रिकॉग्नाइज, अबे कपड़े चेंज कर रहा है ब्रो, फेस नहीं।
But there were 2 security guards outside the factory. They stop him.
I am Mr. Knight's man. Mr. Knight has sent me.
As soon as the security guard hears Mr. Knight's name, he lets Mayhul enter the factory. After seeing the scene inside the factory, Mayhul is amazed.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Interesting, very very interesting. इसने क्या बोला? मिस्टर नाइट सेंट मी बोला।
Mr. Knight has sent me.
As soon as the security guards outside the factory, they stop him.
I am Mr. Knight's man. Mr. Knight has sent me.
As soon as
हैं? हाय मिस्टर नाइट्स मैन, मिस्टर नाइट सेंट मी। फिर ये लोग कौन है?
ये सब क्या देखना पड़ रहा है? अच्छा है मैं अंधा हूँ।
अब अंदर जाको ने मिस्टर नाइट्स को बोल रहा जाको ने।
the security guard hears Mr. Knight's name, he lets Mehul enter the factory. After seeing the scene inside the factory, Mehul is amazed.
Interesting, very interesting. It means
Interesting,
Mr.
very
Knight makes
interesting.
duplicate medicines and sells them.
Mehul calmly comes out of the factory and calls Mr. Knight.
Mr. Knight, I need duplicate medicines worth 5 crores. I am standing outside your factory.
10 minutes later, Mr. Knight comes out of the factory, and Mehul catches him and calls the police. The police raid the factory.
Mr. Knight, tell me the truth. Why did you go to meet Scientist Bennett?
Mr. Knight reveals that Scientist Bennett had a very good formula that could be used to produce duplicate medicines at a very low cost, and the price of those medicines in the market was in millions. However, Scientist Bennett did not share that formula with him, so he set the lab on fire.
Mr. Knight, in your pursuit of earning more money, you murdered Scientist Bennett. Now you'll sit in jail and keep making duplicate medicines.
Case solved.
उसके सिर को मारा।
Detective Mehul rocks.
वाह! तो गाइस ये हम लोग लॉजिकल रिडल सॉल्व करे कि इलॉजिकल रिडल सॉल्व करे पता नहीं। मेरे हाथ से तो सॉल्व नहीं हो पाया। अगर ऐसे ही आप चाहते हैं कि मैं ऐसे ही रिडल सॉल्व करूं तो इस वीडियो पे लाइक कीजिए और मेरे चैनल पे सब्सक्राइब कीजिए। ऐसे बहुत सारे वीडियोस आने वाले हैं। तो तब तक के लिए बाय, मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो पे। थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग।